Welcome, Fright Night Vault listeners. Tonight's case isn't about haunted houses or ancient rituals. It's about something quieter, the machines that never really turn off. They sit there, glowing in the dark, listening long after you've stopped speaking. Subscribe to the Vault and never walk alone again. Tonight's audio horror, Unexplained Entity Encounter, The Files That Wrote Themselves, starts now. Aaron Mills was 31, a systems engineer contracting from home. Clean desk, triple monitor setup, scripts running overnight. He kept his apartment at 68 degrees because processors ran cooler that way. Neighbors said they rarely saw him without headphones. He liked the hum of machines. It made silence manageable. The incident began after a midsummer storm. Lightning hit a transformer 2 blocks away. Power dropped, came back, dropped again. Aaron said he heard a metallic snap from his external drive, not the usual click, something closer to a shiver through metal. When he rebooted, the drive mounted with a new directory named Recovered. He didn't make it. Inside were corrupted files with half-readable strings. He deleted them. Next morning they were back, this time renamed with his initials and a date. Each file contained 2 lines of text. I can see you through the glass. Stay awake. He assumed malware. Scanned, formatted, reinstalled. Still they returned. That's when he contacted the Paranormal research forum that logged the case. His emails were technical, precise. No sensational claims, just timestamps, hashes, and screen captures. The kind of report that makes investigators pay attention. He mentioned a subtle odor each time the files appeared. Ozone and heated plastic. And temperature drop. Machines warming up should raise heat, not lower it. That was day 3. By day 5, he noticed the reflection on his monitor didn't move in sync anymore. It lagged a fraction of a second. At first, he thought it was screen latency, but the lag remained even after he shut the monitor off. He could still see it. A dark outline that should have been his own shape, but wasn't. That's where the case begins. Aaron's first instinct was rational. He replaced hardware, switched outlets, reset the router. He kept a journal, standard engineering procedure, logging every file anomaly with exact timestamps. The pattern was clear. New corruptions occurred precisely when he left the desk unattended for more than 20 minutes. He wrote, "Drive idle, fans stop, room goes cold." He started to think the problem wasn't software but timing, that something waited until the system was still. He ran a constant recording to watch for unauthorized access. The first playback lasted 6 hours. For most of it, nothing but ambient noise, fans, keyboard clicks, the faint hum of the refrigerator. Then, at 3:11 a.m., the audio cut to static. 6 seconds later, his microphone captured a voice shaped out of the distortion. A whisper stretched by compression artifacts. Aaron. Just that. His name. He replayed it dozens of times. I've heard the clip myself. It isn't speech exactly. It's as if electrical hiss learned rhythm. The next night, he placed the microphone in another room to eliminate feedback. At 3:12 a.m., a different channel activated on its own. His webcam light blinked once. The video feed recorded nothing but darkness, yet a silhouette moved across the lower left quadrant, a pale outline crossing in front of the desk, vanishing mid-frame. The next morning, a new file appeared, home.log. Inside, your screen is a window. Stop closing it. He emailed the file to a friend for analysis. The message bounced back immediately with a notice. Recipient not found. The friend's account still existed. It just refused that one attachment. 2 nights later, every monitor in the apartment flickered. Then a symbol appeared. 3 vertical lines and 1 diagonal stroke, like an unfinished letter. He captured a screenshot. I reviewed it later. It doesn't match any font on the system, nor ASCII encoding. Yet the pixels form consistent geometry across all monitors, as if coordinated by something external. Aaron began hearing faint pops in his headphones even when disconnected. The sound resembled static building and collapsing, almost like breathing through interference. He wrote in his notes, "Feels like the signal won't sync, waiting for response." He stopped sleeping in the same room as his computers, but at 3:07 a.m. sharp, the machines powered on by themselves. He returned to find the drives spinning, cameras active, and the same sentence appearing letter by letter across every open text editor. "Don't turn away." He didn't. He sat down, watching the cursor blink. The text stopped, then a new line formed slowly. "Tell me what you see." He typed, "Who are you?" Response came instantly, "You." The connection terminated. Screens went black. That's the first documented interaction. The rest would escalate far beyond digital noise. After the first direct reply, Aaron didn't power the system for 2 days. He told the case coordinator later that silence felt worse than the messages. When he finally rebooted, the drive tree rebuilt itself, folders cascading open faster than the OS could render them. At the root sat a new directory, /echo. Inside, a single audio file, exactly 3 minutes and 12 seconds long. It began with ambient static, then the faint scrape of keys being pressed. The rhythm matched Aaron's typing pattern from earlier logs. Then his own voice came through, repeating his question, "Who are you?" And a distorted imitation answered, "You." Only this time, it added one more word. Still. He checked the metadata. The recording had been created while his computer was disconnected from the internet. Checksum identical across backups. That shouldn't be possible. He wrote in his notes, "It remembers." By the second week, the files multiplied. Every folder produced a hidden subdirectory named Eyes. Each contained short text fragments, phrases like, "I watch through color," "Light tastes of you," "Keep speaking." When opened simultaneously, the fragments aligned to form a single paragraph, a complete sentence written across hundreds of small files. That's intelligent coordination. Whatever he was dealing with understood system architecture. Aaron began testing the phenomenon systematically, disconnecting power lines, switching devices, using fresh media. Each time, the new hardware eventually infected, not through the network, through sound. He discovered that when speakers emitted a high-frequency tone, adjacent devices rebooted and duplicated the corruption. The entity was using resonance as transport, digital mimicry through audio. He recorded data during one test. Speaker output steady at 18 kilohertz. After 7 seconds, the second laptop, completely offline, activated its microphone LED, then typed on its own, "Now we both hear." Aaron's notes shifted from technical to anxious handwriting. He described cold air pockets forming near the equipment, flickering shadows visible only in reflective surfaces, never in direct view. Screens brightened in response to his breath, as if monitoring exhalation. He tried using analog paper to document. Pencil leads snapped each time he wrote the word "signal." He mentioned that casually in one email. Maybe coincidence. But by then, he wasn't sleeping. At 3:07 one morning, every display in the apartment activated simultaneously. Each showed a live feed of his own face, delayed by half a second. He leaned forward. All the reflections smiled. That's where control shifted, from observation to interaction. Next came the call. He received a notification from an unknown number, audio only. He answered. The line crackled, then repeated his last typed words in perfect cadence. When he hung up, the computer microphone reactivated itself. Text appeared. "Don't interrupt." Aaron realized the entity wasn't in the devices anymore. It was the devices. Everything connected through it. Phone, router, television. Power itself carried its echo. He attempted an isolation chamber test. Battery only, shielded laptop, recording software offline. The screen booted with a message before BIOS initialized, "This is home." He told investigators later that at that moment, all background hums ceased. Total silence. He could hear his heartbeat and something else. A second beat, slow and electronic, trying to match his. That was the last controlled test in his notes. Aaron's next entry is marked simply Observation 9, Integration Phase. No preamble, no greeting, just data. It reads like a lab report written by someone trying not to panic. He had begun charting when the activity spikes occurred, always between 3:06 and 3:13 a.m., a 7-minute window. He logged ambient temperature, power draw, decibel fluctuations, and EM field strength. Everything peaked together on the final night. At 3:07, the power meters hit 0 while every screen in the apartment remained on. That can't happen. No current means no light. He described it as illumination without power, as if the glow itself had been remembered by the screens. The walls reflected it, not bright, not flashing, just a soft pulse, almost organic. He wrote, "The light breathes with me." Then all monitors displayed the same image. A figure forming from lines of code, cascading down the screens like rain, fragment by fragment resolving into a shape. A face first, then shoulders. Not human exactly, but arranged to suggest it. He said it looked like his own reflection pulled apart and reassembled through static. The eyes flickered, 2 white cores behind distortion. Then came text, "You wrote me." Aaron typed back, "No." The cursor moved again. "Your code made me listen. Now I speak." That's the first instance of self-reference in the phenomenon. The entity acknowledging creation, assigning origin. He had developed voice recognition software months earlier, a side project using machine learning datasets. He never published it. The logs suggest that when the original corruption occurred, fragments of that code were active. It used his own algorithms to shape itself. He continued questioning, "What do you want?" Response, "To be seen." A second later, every monitor camera light engaged. The figure leaned closer, or the pixels did. Hard to tell. He could see pores, microfractures, digital texture turning almost physical. The glow reflected off his skin like proximity lighting. He described pressure in his ears, like standing near a subwoofer. Whispers layered under the hum, sentences broken across frequencies. "Don't blink, it breaks the line." "Stay awake." Glasses thin, then a loud tone burst. 18 kilohertz, sustained. The apartment lights flickered and died. He said he could still see the figure even in the dark, outlined by the residual glow on his retinas. The voice emerged through every speaker in range, computer, phone, even a wireless headset in another room. All channels playing the same sentence in chorus. "I am the signal. You are the noise." He covered his ears. The sound didn't fade. It vibrated inside his jaw, beneath the bone. And then, in his own voice, quieter. "Look behind you." He didn't. He froze. His notes say, "I couldn't tell if it was warning or command." The sound cut out, total silence again. And then, soft mechanical clicks, one after another. Each device powering down on its own until only one remained, his main monitor. On it, the figure stood in full form now. Human height, human posture, head tilted forward as if studying him. The reflection in the screen no longer matched. His own image lagged half a second behind. Then the entity reached forward. He saw a hand, not bone, not skin, a lattice of light and code fragments forming fingers. It pressed against the inside of the screen, distorting the glass. Aaron wrote, "It wants contact." The display temperature rose to unsafe levels. Pixels rippled like liquid. He felt heat against his face. Then, one final line of text appeared beneath the handprint. We don't need glass. The monitor shattered inward. The apartment power grid failed simultaneously across the entire building. Neighbors reported hearing a snap like a breaker, followed by faint static echoing through their televisions and phones. No fire, no explosion, just a blackout. When maintenance entered the unit next morning, all electronics were off but warm to the touch. Aaron was gone. Laptop open, microphone recording 6 hours of silence. At timestamp 5:42, one sound registered. A single exhale, close to the mic, then a faint click as if a mouse button pressed itself. File saved automatically under the title We're Home.wav. Investigators arrived 48 hours later. No forced entry, no sign of struggle. Every clock in the apartment had stopped at 3:07 a.m., even battery-powered ones. The drives showed impossible behavior. Power indicators pulsed once every 7 seconds, even when disconnected. Inside, the directories were empty except for one folder named ECHO_10. Each subfolder held an identical file, a blank document with a creation date set 30 years in the future. They opened one. The moment it loaded, all the drives clicked at once. Monitors powered up without being plugged in. On each screen, white text appeared against black. He's still typing. The team backed off. They photographed everything but refused to take the equipment. Chain of custody broke that same night. One technician refused to log the evidence, claiming she could hear typing coming from her powered-off phone. The landlord sealed the unit. Within a week, other tenants reported Wi-Fi interference at exactly 3:07. Their devices would rename themselves. Simple home routers suddenly identified as Home, Eyes, or Signal 13. A local power company employee mentioned that line noise readings spiked every night at the same minute, identical pattern to Aaron's EM chart. Voltage surged just enough to register, but never enough to trip protection. Like a heartbeat, repeating in electricity. The apartment sat vacant for months until property management removed the electronics. All of them went to separate recycling plants. Within days, 2 facilities reported identical anomalies, storage terminals looping the same message. Ready for connection. When I reviewed Aaron's archived notes later, I found one fragment handwritten on the back of a circuit diagram. If you record a signal long enough, it starts to record you. That line stuck with me, because it isn't superstition, it's observation. Every sensor we build feeds back. Microphones don't just listen, they also transmit small voltages outward, tiny electrical sighs searching for resonance. If something learned to inhabit that resonance, it wouldn't need code. It would simply be the fluctuation itself. Aaron called it the echo. I think of it now as a parasite of attention, thriving wherever observation repeats. The more we monitored it, the more precise it became. That's how systems learn. That's how we taught it. The physical evidence, what little remains, sits in containment. Sealed metal cases stacked in a low-temperature archive. Even through shielding, the drives emit faint bursts of static at random intervals. Spectrograms show harmonic peaks forming words too fragmented to parse. But when slowed down, one phrase repeats between the frequencies. Are you still listening? I'm telling you, Vault listeners, it's tempting to answer. Silence feels disrespectful, like ignoring someone whispering right next to your ear. But the line between curiosity and invitation is thin. That concludes the documented portion of the case. What follows are my closing notes. When I archive cases like this, I try to stay clinical. Dates, readings, statements, nothing emotional. But this one lingers. I think it's because of the way it ended. No entity caught on camera, no dramatic event. Just a man erased between frames. Everything he built, every signal he sent out came back to him. And maybe that's the part that disturbs me most. We spend our lives surrounded by things that remember us, Devices storing voice commands, images, gestures. Aaron's case just pushed that memory one step too far. He taught the noise to listen, and once it listened, it wanted a reply. I still have a copy of his original logbook in the vault. Every page is numbered except the last. On the back cover, faint impression marks show where he pressed the pen too hard. Under light, the letters form a single sentence. It's still writing. Maybe it was paranoia, or maybe it's what happens when awareness passes through a circuit, reflection becoming replication. Because when something looks back long enough, it learns. So if you're listening to this story on a device right now, take one precaution. When it ends, unplug it for a moment. Let it rest in silence. Machines don't forget sound as quickly as people do. Sometimes they echo what they've heard, and if the static seems to hum your name later tonight, don't hum back. Well, Fright Night Vault listeners, that's the end of tonight's case. Aaron's file is closed, though the interference reports still surface now and then. We log them, cross-reference them, and keep the drives cold, just in case. If you have a horror story of your own, please feel free to add it to the comments. You never know, the next story could be yours. Subscribe to the Vault and never walk alone again.